Welcome to another episode of the Funky Marketing Show. This is the show when I talk to people who are doing things a little bit differently with a little bit of funk. And today is the day where we're going to talk about marketing ops and debunk some of the things that are well known or some of the things that are not known, see what are some mistakes that companies are making, and get even more things debunked during the episode. My guest is Jemmi Laaninen. I'll ask her if I pronounce the name right, but before that, let's hear the funky intro. And we're back. Did I pronounce the name right?
Yeah, I think it was really, really good.
Nice. So, Yemi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm usually good with that, but sometimes I make a complete mess of pronunciation. Usually no, but that's good because coming from Serbia, we usually speak as we write the same thing. So it's kind of easier to to pronounce things where they are obvious in
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. But Finnish is the same. It's a phonetic language. We pronounce it the same way as it's written. So maybe this is the basis why you got it right on the first try.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm really glad we made this happen. I had to postpone it for some things that were happening around, and I'm glad we're doing it. And I'm glad that I'm finally, I think nobody was here on the show talking about marketing ops, those kind of things. Maybe one person. And this is like 101st episode. At least that's what
Ooh,
I think, something like that. So,
amazing.
yeah, so tell me and everybody listening a little bit about you, a little bit about your background, and why you are, the main person to talk about marketing ops.
Perfect. So first of all, I'm super glad to be here. So thank you for inviting me. Um, as introduced, I'm Jemi. I work for a Finnish startup, scale up, a SaaS company called Leadoo Marketing Technologies. And I work there now for 3 years, a little over. And now I'm running our whole global marketing operations. So I have a team, I have the marketing ops related cross functional responsibilities, and we can dive a little deeper probably into these going forward. But when I'm not running these operational things at work, I'm absolutely super passionate doing it in my own life on my own time. And this is already a running joke between me and my spouse, my colleagues, my team members. Um, One of my teammates called me Mrs. Pantry Talk because there is this specific site in TikTok that focuses on organizing stuff. So I have a funny nickname. But I'm all about automating, making stuff easy, creating systems that allow me to use my energy and focus where it's actually needed.
Yeah, I love that. I learned to love it. Let's say like that. I'm think of me as a creative person, and it took me a while to get there, but I found a way. Hire a person, let them, do some things, and when they do it, create a process out of it.
Yes.
It turns out to be not so complicated,
Yes.
when you simplify things. But some things that I see, I talk with my team, and I say that we have a job because we help companies not overthinking, because like in
Mhm.
B2B, everybody overthink things.
Mhm.
And on the other hand, when it comes to internal organization, I get to that trap of overcomplicating things.
Yeah, yeah. And especially when we consider the internal bits in the organization, there's so much friction and there is so much work about work, even though when it doesn't have to be like so. And this is where I think also marketing ops now, and especially going forward in B2B scene, needs to be actually maybe heard and repositioned within the organizations to be the kind of like a brain of making sure that these connections are formulating and we are using the capacity towards the correct things and not just for the sake of saying that now we're doing something.
I love that, and kind of like alarming us when something happened that is out of the regular things,
Yeah.
and those kind of stuff. But tell me, so you were around 3 years in a company.
Yes.
How it was when you just come to the company, and what happened in those 3 years? Let's kind of see how it evolved.
Yes. If I may, I could step even a couple more steps back from this. So before I joined my current company, I had experience in in-house positions and in agency positions, as a consultant, as a hired CMO, and doing all kinds of different marketing related things. And there was always, and especially of course in hindsight, specific things that are kind of the ones that create friction or create issues externally or internally. And when I by mistake, when I applied to my current company, I was one evening, I was just filling out this culture fit test that
Mhm.
my current boss, I think, had created back then on this interactive tool. And I'm like, this is neat. Tick, 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 going forward. Then it asks me, do I want to leave my phone number and email address if like they could contact me or so. I'm like, sure. Like it's not like someone's gonna call me because we've all applied for jobs and then we never
Yeah.
hear again. So I was like, okay, sure, and then probably went back to watching Netflix. Lo and behold, the next day, my upcoming manager calls me like, hey, would you be available for an interview soon? And then I think it took like 6 days, and I already started working. But I started working in a company that had less than 20 people. And we had the tiniest office in Helsinki, everyone practically in 2 rooms. And we had, and we still do have a very strong sales focus and we have sales teams. So when we put sales team and then like customer success teams in the same contained space, uh, it was a lot of stuff happening in one space. Um, and
And,
now,
and, and you were the first one in marketing, or there was already somebody working over there?
actually, when I started working in the customer onboarding. Then I
Mm.
started taking on the customer integration stuff because I've been familiar with this. I was able to easily speak the language of the customer because the customer was always a marketer. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you're trying to solve with our product. So let me help you to get the best possible onboarding experience, get the absolutely best possible results from the get go. And I loved it. And I think marketers truly do benefit also having these actually customer facing jobs. And after taking on the onboarding, then the customer integrations, um, then I started doing the customer success side as well. And then I started doing the key account management side because there was, of course, bigger and like very global clients who have very different kind of requirements. And they have also different level of understanding, knowledge, and standard when it comes to not only this kind of a business relationship, but in marketing in general. So then there was this, and then I started working as a like growth marketer, growth marketing manager, team lead, and now I'm here.
Yeah, sounds interesting. Like see it growing. Probably that was you in charge of the growth. Then you actually grown the team to a moment when you needed to step to another position, and it's interesting to me that that you took to the ops, like from the growth, meaning like this is something we need to set up. This is the system that I will be in charge of, and so we can continue the growth. At least that's how it sounds to me.
Yeah, yeah, and like I must say that in, of course, startups, scale ups, the titles, especially when it comes to growth, they are a little fluctuating in what they mean, because I think especially when we're talking about growth marketing managers, head of growth people, there are so many different ways to understand what it means, as there are people receiving the
Exactly.
information. So when I joined Leadoo, we already had a couple people in the marketing team, our CMO, content marketer, video producer, maybe. But now we have a team of 7 plus me,
Nice.
8.
Nice,
So,
nice. Sounds good. In talking about growth, I think like a lot of people, especially now looking like scrolling through the feed on LinkedIn, think a lot of people connect growth only with marketing.
mhm,
And it's actually something that business needs to deal with it, not just marketing or some other function, but it's something that the company needs to decide how they're going to grow. It's not just like we're going to just hire somebody you know to be the growth marketer and it will help us grow.
yeah,
It's not how it happens.
yeah, and that's actually an interesting point, since unfortunately quite often it seems that when we talk about marketing driven growth, or we talk about growth marketing, or whichever term we want to use, it might still have very like top of funnel view and take, and it might not be fully tied into actual business growth, say revenue. So there is, I would say, still quite a big disconnect, and at least I would like to maybe streamline a little with the terminology what we're using. Same goes, be it lead gen, demand gen, whichever is the flavor of the month. These are very often seen, at the end of the day, seen as something that marketing's doing. Although demand gen also requires engaged sales force, very engaged other operational people. And if you're a SaaS company, the designers, the developers, the whole software development team needs to understand the basics and the core of demand gen, since there is very little that marketing can do alone.
Exactly, I totally agree, and I like that shift that kind of happened like a year and a half ago, something like that, when marketers realize that they need to have revenue in sight, so they can actually do their job the right way. And to be able to do that, they need to be inside the CRM. They need to get the data, see what's happening over there, and be able to analyze those things. I remember like seeing at least 10, 15 people posting about like it's actually a revelation. I'm able to do my job in a completely different, better way on a different level. Now that I'm inside the CRM and I can see what's actually happening. I can pull out the data from it, and then it got them to learn how they can measure some other things from which they couldn't measure in the past. So it was leads. That's how we measure marketing. But now things are completely different, and they just something that lazy companies are still doing. That's how I would say it. Going measuring marketing just on leads meaning the MQLs, right?
Hmm.
I think we are past that moment, and we are more forward in the way that we are more sophisticated way that we do marketing, that when we do sales and those kind of things. But uh, what I see that you mentioned, that you always need access to the CRM, those kind of things. I see uh, even CMOs that that don't have that technical knowledge now realize that they need it. So maybe maybe they are not, let's call it, in the mood to learn how to use it, but
Hmm.
they have a person dedicated that they bring from company to company, and it's exactly the person who works in the operations and help them set up those things, somebody they trust. I mean, for me it's kind of easier to learn all these things, then you can employ somebody to do other things instead of taking a person with you. But anyway, that's also just wanted to mention that because it's also one of the things that you can do to kind of handle those things. But the core is that you need somebody to do that.
Yeah, you need to do it. And I would say, like, coming back to your point about the measuring and if marketing is measured against MQLs, maybe it is for a few different reasons also, since when we have lacked visibility to the CRMs, to the actual customer data, what happens later, it means that we are going to measure the only thing we effectively can. So then it's something, not just a vanity number, but something that will not ever give the biggest and fullest picture of what marketing's doing and what are the truest impacts of the different actions marketing's doing. So here I also do think that marketing ops and the marketing ops mindset, even if you wouldn't have a whole team to do this, is crucial. And then by this, by getting into the CRMs, by getting understanding of what you have, what you can measure in which points of the buyer's journey. Okay, now we know these bits. It means that on the flip side, we also have at least some kind of really good guess what data are we actually still missing. Because when we are able to measure effectively the biggest parts of the whole buyer's journey and the customer lifetime, uh, it will give a little bit more tools for marketing to go and say in the C suite that this is the value we're bringing in these different stages. And this is the thing we can do with the information we now have. So no one's also collecting data just so they can say that we're collecting data, but actually turning it into insights, turning it into actions, and then actions into revenue.
Yeah, I love that. And if you can do that, then marketing can actually do the job that they are
Yes.
hired for to do, right? And then actually it in a way, if they are doing it, meaning I look at marketing like go to market strategy and basically uncovering the advantage that we have over the others and basically telling it to the world, finding a way to tell it, and it results in facilitating the buying process. So actually when we do that, we get the better, not the leads, we actually get the clients and the customers
Mm-hmm.
coming to us ready to buy. And by doing that, we are actually aligning marketing and sales.
Yes. And having the combined data in a way between marketing and sales, it's another thing that I see a positive trend towards currently, that we are not having data that is just for marketing in this box and then there's sales who tries to sell to the inbound leads without the actual fullest knowledge of what has happened. So either there's going to be a lot of manual work, so all of the gaps can be filled before sales contacts someone, or sales is just being like, whatever, just pick up the phone, call them, let's see, and then it will be not the best experience for the buying customer. So bringing together these different data points that marketing can provide for sales, be it then the leads that pipe, like people in their pipeline already, what kind of actions these people take on the website, are there some specific kind of activations they have done on the website that salespeople can be alerted to, and then they can use that information as well when they are being in touch. And this needs to happen real time. The next day isn't good enough. I
Yeah.
don't do anything with the next day data. I need it now. And if I can't have it now, someone else will give it to me now. I will find a way to get it. And the same goes like to the other side. It's very important that marketing has the fullest view to the pipeline. CRMs get filled in correctly. I understand not everyone loves it. It's okay. Marketing and sales ops are here to automate those things partly, but everyone benefits when the data is shared and not siloed.
Exactly. And basically it eliminates the friction,
Yeah.
right? That was one of the things we said we're going to talk about. And I see it, like if you look at all the SaaS companies, basically it's, technology is the same and the products are more or less the same in that way. So what differentiates them is the story, or it's the buying experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if somebody comes ready to the website to convert, they don't want to look at the demo. They are ready to buy now. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody, or they need to get the information before that. So we need to have like a chance to give them, okay, if you don't want to look at it, like you can go and maybe go for a trial and say
Mm-hmm.
solve the problem this day, and if you solve it, then you will come back to actually buy.
Yes.
Those kind of stuff are essential, and in that way, looking at how it goes the other way, it's like it's first marketing, then it's the SDR,
Mm.
then it's the account executive, then it's somebody from customer success. Like so many people are involved in the process, and like, okay, marketing creates relationship in time with them. Then comes the guy who is SDR, also related to that, continues that, there is trust, and then
Mm.
basically when they need to close, AI takes over. So
Yeah.
somebody who they have no idea who it is, and he just or she came to close the deal.
Yeah.
Like the trust is gone instantly. And I'm looking at this, okay, and if we go with the lead gen model, then it's basically not even the best salespeople who are account executives. There are some people who are new in the job, they don't have the experience, so the experience with the customer is not always the same, is not the best.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things going on over there, and a lot of things that can be eliminated and can actually establish sort of uh, let's call it a buyer's journey which is fit for the customer,
Yeah.
because this way it's fit for the company, right?
Yes. Yes. And considering that, I think it was Forrester's forecast that I saw lately, and they said that in the future it was, may I say, maybe even over 70% of customers would prefer not to have like any or very little contact with salespeople during the sales process. And even if when they are going to have it, then it's going to be at the end part. And what this means, considering like marketing operations and the internal friction buyer's journey, um, It means that when our buyers are more independent and they don't want to speak with us, so we will not have the opportunity to say like, no, 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 that's not what we mean. No, we mean this one. When they are going to go to the website, they are going to take it as face value. They're not going to
Hmm.
start deciphering it like it's some cryptic message. They are there for a reason. They want to solve a problem they have, or they want to do whatever it is that they want to do on their specific buyer's journey. So we need to make sure that the website is actually the best possible sales channel, and it actually does support the different phases of the buyer's journey, different kinds of people who are usually companies have defined by medic or some other framework, like who are we going to sell to. And then we don't force, and like emphasis on the force, we don't force anyone and everyone just through the same funnel. And it, because it is never a one size fits all. And when we do so, or if we even have like two funnels, wow, but it's still very one size fits all, we are making it unnecessarily difficult for the potential customer and for us internally. Since when we have, for example, just very, very hard conversion points, and this is a conversion optimization and conversion point myth I want to debunk, like as of now, and I want everyone to start doing better. We can't be focusing only on the last and the hardest conversions on the website, and we cannot
Yes.
force everyone to convert the exact same way. It will not happen. It will eat up your results, which will then eat up the budget you are gonna be given. It will eat up the trust sales is ever gonna have towards you. We cannot do that. And I want it to stop today, because if we have the information, we have access to CRM, we have some capability at least to measure the further buyer's journey, we need to see value on the other kinds of conversion points as well. So we need to have the softer ones, which can help us to also define what stage is this person in, what kind of stuff they would maybe want with us. And it doesn't have to be necessarily heavily transactional, but
Hmm.
something. And I think something that marketers should put a lot more emphasis to when we consider the like softer and the midway conversion points is that they expand your first party customer data. And this is the information, this is the data you have been given by the customer with their consent. And this is something you will never buy from a Facebook ad alone. So please make sure that this is also something that's seen as valuable and it's actually covered, because it's 98% of the people who come to your website, they are not ready to buy. So it's nearly everyone who are not ready to buy.
Exactly.
And then we are not going to do anything with them. But at the same time, we have our ad platforms spending thousands per month to drive traffic to the website, to drive the people who are not ready to buy to the customer journey, which is meant only for the people who are ready to buy. This is one of those make it make sense kind of situations for me.
Yes, yes, I like that a lot, and it's something, I was listening to you and going back a few years ago while I was working in agency that was doing marketing automation stuff, website optimization, those kind of things, and like the thing was we need to learn how the customers are actually coming to buy from us. And if we implement the automation, it should be on them to choose the way they will use to come and buy our product. So it's not us, implying on them you should do this or you should do that,
Mm-hmm.
but we look how it comes naturally, and then we automate those things. Because like usually, and it's another thing that I wanted to also mention related to that. So like, especially now with ABM and those kind of things, people think, what is the best tool for ABM? We're going to buy that and it's going to help us do the ABM the right way. But it doesn't start from the technology. It starts with trying things out, seeing what works, optimizing for that. And then when you need to scale it up, then you imply the technology.
Yes. And like in this scenario, for example, the technology is the only thing that's absolute. So it will not make a difference which one of the technologies you're gonna go with if you don't have any idea how are you going to benefit from it, what are you actually going to do, and will it ever bring any value. As you said, if there is no testing, there is no nothing, the technology will just sit and rot, and you will not renew the subscription on the 12-month mark. It will be just a churn. So this is one thing for marketers and marketing teams to consider. And I would say it doesn't hurt if people who work in business development teams, sales teams, they would also maybe refresh the thinking when it comes to conversions, what kind of conversions we should get from the website, and make sure that everyone has at least the same level of understanding why we should value like the different kinds of conversions and what we can do with them. Because I would still say that it is marketing's job to educate the other teams around them on these matters. It is not something that we can inherently expect that everyone in sales or everyone in CS just knows because we know it. Not the case. So if we want buy-in, we will need to give something to them to buy into. Just because we say we want it doesn't make it important for them.
Exactly the same. I love that because we are selling,
Yes.
right? To them as well, so we need to give them what they need in a way that they can understand it, so we get our part of the deal.
Yes.
And it is how it is. And I feel like so many years like marketers have been uh passive, let's call it
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's okay, we can just do webinars, we can just do creatives, that's it. We don't want to take responsibility for it. But now it seems like it's a golden age for marketers, because like we have all the tools, technology is allowing us to actually go meet the customers and do our job the right way. And I see it, like the ones who are not doing it are just lazy and will just be at the back of everything as the things evolve further.
Yeah, and they will stay mediocre, and they will get mediocre results by extension. And it's not a great look in this market and day and age. But I have one more, like at least, but one more conversion of optimization myth I would want to debunk.
Let's go.
The color of the button never mattered, and it never will.
Yes.
Never.
But is it gradient or no?
Or does it have like a sharp border or a rounded one? This is this is even something that could be called a pet peeve, but I can't stand when conversion optimization discussions take a turn to these kinds of things, because it means that we are totally either just really really sure that we know our customers so well that turning the hue of this gray green blue button down a notch will make a difference in our customers eyes, and they will absolutely click it.
Yeah.
How 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 do we end up to this kind of a conclusion? Or when people, marketers, whoever starts these discussions that yes, now we need to just change the button color, the size, the whatever, um maybe they just don't know what else to do. Like, this is kind of the last string they can hold on to, because they have nothing else to go with, and they just need some quick deliverables to show to whoever they are reporting to. And both of these scenarios are terrible. And they are terrible for the poor marketer, definitely. They are even worse for the customer. And if they are worse for the customer, they will be worse for the company on every single level. So before we start considering, does this button color and changing the button color actually have an impact? Can we like sit down 15 minutes, breathe in, breathe out, and then consider, what about we would consider the optimization maybe based on specific phases of the buyer's journey? Maybe if we want to optimize this thing and then choose the tactics accordingly, instead of going like raged blind and be like, yes, green to blue, this will be it.
It reminds me of the thing, what most CMOs do when they start work in a new company? They say we need to rebrand.
Yes.
We need to change the website. And like in 90%, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like, there are some older looking website that actually convert great. And I see it only when you change the narrative, you change the story, those kind of things, or when you have proofs that it doesn't convert, it doesn't do the job that is made to do. And like, especially looking at majority of the website are just static ones.
Mm.
So, you know do you actually need to change those things or no? And I'm sure that if more people should stop and think before doing things, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of decisions will be made in a different way. And also having in mind the thing that you mentioned also, like 90, I don't know, like B2B LinkedIn Institute said 95%, but I still think it's like 1 or 2% of the people that are actually ready to buy right now in the
Mm.
market. When you know that fact, it should change and affect everything that you do in sales and marketing. Everything. Because when I just think about that, it makes me, look over the whole journey and everything that we do. Is it wrong? And for most companies, it is. What you say, getting people to the website, those that are ready to buy right now.
Mm.
And now I just had last night the panel talking about the state of the market, and those kind of things. Like, companies would just go and pay more, thinking that and then if we pay more, we will actually get to those people. And they don't realize that it's less and less of those people, especially when it's the crisis, those kind of things, and you are not the priority for their business, and you are expensive,
Mm-hmm.
like, and they don't ever stop raising the amount of money they use in the ad spend. Basically, it just, you know they go to be doomed, and they don't do anything to stop it, because like, this is what we do. It's kind of crazy.
It truly is. And considering that the cost of like paid media has skyrocketed like within the past 6 7 years, so how are we going to ever reason that when we're just spending more we will get better results if we do not change anything else? It's short-sighted, and it's like a panic reaction even. But um, when we consider like the conversions and the software and all of these things, and we consider marketing operations, at least for myself and what I see around me, um, it's it's not only like these things, although them being of course crucial for the success of the company, um, but it's also about the internal efficiency and making sure that when this happens, then that happens. And when that happens, then it triggers these actions, and everyone knows how stuff works. And then it allows marketing ops to enable salespeople. It allows marketing ops to enable the other parts of the organization. And of course, then if there are several marketing teams, be it then content, paid, um, community, however it's structured, marketing ops can enable that too. But to do this, I'm gonna use a word that I've learned that not everyone likes, but we need processes. And quite often, marketing ops will be the team to set up, create, and upkeep processes, the internal ways of working and making sure that shit gets done. Because if everyone's just cowboying around, it's ineffective, and we will never be able to get done what's needed to get done, at least in time. So this is a crucial thing. And then comes, of course, whichever software is needed for whatever purpose, and making sure that then again, these can trigger actions like something happens here, then it happens there, and so on. Making sure that there is as little internal friction as possible. And for myself, this has been an absolute treat in my own job, in what I get to do day to day, because it might sound like either very techy or very something else, but it tickles actually the very creative part of my brain. I'm an avid writer. I love writing, and I write a lot. And uh, I feel that when I get to solve these things, like these friction removing things, it feels the same as when I'm in the flow of writing a novel. And it's somehow really exciting for me. But then again, I've built my life, my whole life from childhood, around systems and lists. And my mother quite recently said that I have never, and I had never met a child who at age 6 started writing lists of different things. So I had lists for my toys, and then I had lists for that, and then later on in school I had all kinds of ways of keeping everything in order. Um, and I've been always very fond of all kinds of systems that help with productivity. Of course, only if they do help and you use them the way you will get the most benefit out of them. But I've been always, everywhere where I've worked, I've been trying to find better systems and reduce the amount of friction. And funnily enough, I got diagnosed with severe ADHD during this summer, and my doctor laughed at me and looked at my occupation, looked at me, looked at my occupation again on the paper, looked at me and was like, so there's probably something going like between the diagnosis and your job. And I'm like, I'm in an extremely lucky position that I've been able to turn this naturally positively chaotic mind of mine to to an absolute engine that thinks in systems. And I think for a person working in marketing operations or in a similar role with whichever title, being able to think in systems, it's important. Being able to kind of have the picture in your head that, okay, here is something that needs to be fixed, here are the things that we can fix them with, then going like on and on and on, so you will have quite quickly some kind of an, and often quite good of an understanding of how it can be fixed, or at least what you can easily start with, who it will impact, who do you need if you need someone. So um, being able to think in systems helps then to create them and upkeep them for others.
Yeah, great. I didn't want to interrupt you. It was I loved what you said, and I love how the whole process went. First of all, like I love the energy. Looking at somebody who loves what they do and they found themselves inside those things. Then also, I've been listening a lot about, especially like all the people that I was listening to were females talking about these things. Like how they discover that they have something which explains the way they behaved and they lived. And one of them said, like I'm 40 something and I'm starting to feel like me now.
Mm-hmm.
When she I don't know what was her diagnosis, but she was expecting to get it in like a few months. And she's like, I'm excited because it will prove that, the way I'm doing things are, actually something that means something. Not that, that it's chaotic, that I'm strange, and those kind of things. And I think it's beautiful that we started to realize those things and share and talk about them. And because I think especially now in technology, working with engineers, with developers, there's so many people who just don't like other people or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But it's not that they don't like them. It's just uh, the way they think, the way they feel, the way they function. And it's not something bad, right? We
Yeah.
need to eliminate those things. And I have a question. What's the most weird list that you created?
Most weird list that I have created. Oh, I love this question. Um, I created a pivot table for my friend about her house plant. So she's able to keep in track with all of the plants she has. She's the absolute plant godmother. And that's like maybe like one of the at least most out of my natural comfort zone. I'm not really good with plants. So um but probably the oddest list would be my research for, for my novels, because I write sci-fi horror. So
Nice.
my Google searches do be wildin', and I've been laughing to myself that if I would now pass away and people would start going through my Google searches, I couldn't explain like by any means of any sense. So I would say that probably my research lists for my horror novels are the weirdest at least looking like from outside in.
Yeah, that's totally good point. And having in mind that it's science fiction and it's horror, then
Yeah,
I don't know if I can imagine, but yeah, like I'm in a epic fantasy novels these days, so maybe I can,
yeah.
up to some level, because I actually needed to find something to stop my brain from thinking about entrepreneurship and about
Mm-hmm.
business. And the only thing that has the same or even the bigger complexity is the epic fantasy,
Yeah,
and how complex is when you start reading and then it develops, it spreads, and I'm like, yes, I need this to stop thinking about the business.
yeah, yeah. Those worlds get so wide that you will need every brain cell to work at their maximum level at all times, so you are able to remember everything that's going on in the places, characters, relations. It's wild. That's why like when I read, I prefer not epic fantasy because my bandwidth isn't like there at that point anymore.
Yeah, a question that comes to my mind is, can you explain a little bit, what are people inside your team actually doing? Because
Oh,
I
totally.
think that would be interesting for people listening. How did you create the team, and what are the pieces of it?
Definitely. So, actually, like my team consists of um, marketing executive who works for our UK and like the global market. Then we have a marketing specialist who works for our Finnish market, and she's also native Finnish. So we have this like little language thingy here. Then we have a graphic designer, we have a video producer, UI designer, we have developer to help us. Uh, then, of course, myself, and well, now of course, CMO is not like very key part often of the marketing operations team, and I like it that way because I think CMOs should have other things to focus on than what kind of nitty gritty bit is moving between these two systems. This is why you have then the other people to work with you. But I don't know, but I would guess that our operations team might be a little unusual one from how we would normally um, maybe understand operations teams being, but we are a company of 120 employees. It means that none of our teams are massive, and we are making the most with the resources, with the people we do have. Uh, Double, triple, however many times multiply the amount of employees, it will of course have an impact and reflection on the operations teams, marketing operations team size and how marketing is structured. But here with us, uh, it's also a decision that has been made, and that supports the fact that we have the willingness to cooperate with all the other teams around us. It's easier for them to have a buy-in to the like jointly committed project and processes when they understand what we're doing and how we are enabling them. And this is something that is for the internal messaging. It's very important. But I would hope that maybe in the future, seeing in other companies, it would be similarly important to have the marketing operations somehow represented, at least for the like internal messaging perspective as well. So other teams would feel like there is someone and some entity that wants to enable us. and the marketing operations team or a person would truly take pride in what they're doing. And for myself as a team lead, and then as the person, what I do in my job when I'm not leading my people, I take pride. I think it's the like absolute highlight of my job to be able to enable others to succeed. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what marketing operations is about.
I love that. And that's what leadership is about
Yeah.
as well. Yemi, thanks. That was a great conversation. Thanks for sharing all the stuff. Is there something that we missed to say?
I'm sure that we didn't necessarily miss anything, but if someone feels like we missed something, maybe ping us a message and we get back to it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do another episode. That's for sure. And I would say to everybody now is the moment in the episode when you stop everything, go to the beginning and listen to everything again, and stop in specific parts of it. Write down what you feel that you need to do more research or to implement. Go and ping Yemi if you need to have additional explanation or advice or whatever it is around those things. And Yemi, tell them where they can find more information about you.
You can find me especially well from LinkedIn with my very Finnish name, Jemmi Laaninen. I'm sure there will be probably link somewhere, so it's going to be a little easier.
Definitely.
And then with the same name from Medium, the publication platform.
Yeah, I need to follow you over there. And I was just thinking, like reading a couple of days ago from the girl. She's not a girl. She's married now, but woman that I knew from totally different activities and business. While we were all in non-formal education, working with you, those kind of stuff. She's now a brand manager working in New York, and she got there from Ukraine. And like she started write again on a medium about things outside business, and I'm like, I need to get back to that. Not just write about business. I need to write about things that are happening outside of business in my life, because reading that, I felt like I missed these things.
Yeah. Uh, but I'm sure that if there's any questions or people want to ping a message or something, 100% I'm available, and I would love to come to do another episode later.
Yeah, for sure. When it gets cold here, so we can be aligned around the
Yes.
environment, like definitely. Thanks for spending an hour or so here with us, talking about marketing ops and all those other stuff. Thanks for being honest about the way you go through life with systems, with lists, and those kind of things. And guys, what I can say to you is, as I always say at the end of the episode, just keep it funky. Have a little bit of funk inside your life, which means, Yemi, I didn't tell you, but funky marketing is basically the definition of funk is music that makes you want to move. So it's activation, and that's why I always say to people, just don't be passive, start being active, because like marketing is pure offense.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Guys, see you in the next episode, and keep it funky.